This episode of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling has been brought to you by the great members of our community, the Squared Circle of Trust. Because of your help, we're able to afford the cost of producing, hosting, and distributing our content. We really couldn't do it without you. And if you haven't started supporting us yet and you enjoy our time together each and every week, please pledge $1 a month over on squaredcircleoftrust.com. Now it's time for Fans Talk Pro Wrestling.
Beard!
From the Fans Talk Podcast family at fanstalkpodcast.com, this is episode 306 of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling. It's a show where we talk about the week that was in WWE, NXT, TNA, and Lucha Underground. On this week's episode, we preview WWE Road Block as we take a pause on the road to WrestleMania 32. My name is Garvin. With us, as always, is Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Hello, Garvin.
And Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Okay. So, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about WWE Road Block. It happens this Saturday. Right now, I'm hearing reports that it's going to be a 3-hour event. We only have 3 official matches that have been announced that have stuck to the official card. There's still a 4th match that was announced, but then it was pulled back. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But 3 hours. It's a long time. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It already has one NXT match booked, so there's potential that there could be more. But before we get there, let's talk about the rest of the week that was outside of WWE. We'll start with TNA. Nick, what happened this week in TNA that's worth talking about?
First, I think you got to start with the beginning, the kickoff match, which was Angle's retirement tour bout with Bobby Roode. And I really enjoyed this match, not just because it's 2 great wrestlers, but because it was just great wrestling. You didn't have a story there. There was no face-heel dynamic. It was just pure wrestling. And I think this is the best possible audience for that, because the English crowds, they really enjoy spectacles like that. That's something they share with Japanese crowds, where they just enjoy the craft. And they sit back and watch it, and they appreciate it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get into the Angle stuff, at least for me, because it really has no storyline. Meaning, this isn't going to be like they're not vying for something by going through Kurt Angle. It's just like these little one-off matches. And yeah, they're very good matches for sure. But the fact that it doesn't necessarily add anything to their individual story for the temporary at least, it's just kind of strange. And for this to open up, I thought this was an odd match to choose as an opener.
Yeah, it certainly was, having 2 guys of that caliber kick things off. And I do kind of get it, because it's, like you said, there are no story ramifications to it. It's just something, cheesecake is a bad way to phrase it, but, it's just something that the audience can really sink their teeth into without kind of, again, not wasting a story match on that spot. But yeah, it is a little bit of a weird situation, but I think it worked out given where they were. Well,
and it's not only does it not necessarily add anything to current storylines, it almost detracts from it, because, you've got Roode, who is going with Beer Money up against EY and Bram. There's a lot of different talks about them going up against the Wolves for the tag titles. So this is kind of something separate. I think the only other match with Angle thus far I suppose his stuff with Drew was a little bit more important, only because, Drew didn't really have anything else going on at the time. But the only other match that really seems to have made this feel super important is the Lashley match. He's got nothing else going on, and he has built it up so much into his character and into his current story. I think he's this whole Lashley part, especially tonight's main event, because they're recording on Tuesday or airing on Tuesdays now. So I think that is the only one that really stands out to me.
I can see where you're coming from. I've personally enjoyed them. I think they do bring something to the table. It's in a more abstract fashion, but, you know, you're wrestling Kurt Angle on his way out, and they hype up the legend that Kurt Angle is. And beating Angle is going to do something for you in storyline. Like, Galloway is considered, if not a top guy, he's right up there. You know, they already call him the captain because he championed TNA against the GFW Invaders, and they keep throwing all these nicknames at him, but they are positioning him for a top push. You know, he's got that title shot. He can cash in whenever he wants. He's got a pretty good feud going with another high-profile newcomer in Mike Bennett. So I can see why Rude is being put up against Angle. You know, he is in beer money, but he hasn't forgotten that not too recently he was King of the Mountain champion.
Sure.
And, you know, the guy he hates the most holds that belt right now. So, you know, I think it still has its place.
Okay. Yeah, and the other thing that does bother me about this is that, you know, it was built up as basically like his retirement thing. You know, he was leaving TNA, and, you know, there was all this talk about how Angle was actually going to retire from wrestling. And then now we know that he's doing this little tour with Rey Mysterio. And now he's come out saying that he does not plan on actually retiring. So again, it's just an odd setup for him because I don't know. It's just, it's obviously showcasing how important Kurt Angle has been to TNA. But at the same time, while that's taking place, like, Angle is making it clear that TNA isn't necessarily that important, for him. At least in the outside stuff.
Maybe from an outsider's perspective. If you're watching the program week in and week out, you know, he's still involved in things. He's having these backstage chats with Galloway, with EC3. He had one with Rockstar Spud before the turn. You know, he's kind of lending importance to angles where he doesn't have to be involved, but he's kind of, you know, spreading the love on his way out.
Okay. Let's move on from Angle. This week, and I feel like I've heard this name before. Maybe it was British Boot Camp, but I don't remember actually seeing him, but that was Big Damo. He basically, at least for me, and I think in general, he made his TNA debut. Is that correct? Is this the first time we've seen him?
Yeah, it is. He was not on British Boot Camp as far as I can remember.
I just remember seeing, like, I just remember hearing him before, and he looks familiar to me for some reason.
I don't think he's been on national TV before. I could be wrong, but I'm absolutely certain this is his first time on TNA TV.
Well, it was good.
Unless
it
you
was
count
good.
Explosion. Maybe he's been there.
Yeah, I mean, it was good regardless. I really enjoyed what he did in the ring. I really enjoyed what he did on the mic. So looking at what we saw with Damo, do you think he is potentially a future TNA star? Or do you think this is just a one-off because he is a UK star and they were in the UK?
I worry that the latter is the case. I sincerely hope he sticks around because I've heard him talk before. Like, he had a bit on an Art of Wrestling episode during the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and I really liked what I heard from him. This is the first time I've actually seen him wrestle, and dude, you hear all the time about there are big guys that move like they're not big guys, but he spent more time in the air than on the mat in this match. And that's damn impressive for a guy his size. I'd love it if he stuck around.
And the live chat is noting that I'm probably confusing Damo with Dave Mastiff.
You might be. That is another guy, another big man with surprising agility. He doesn't move quite like that, but I've seen that dude do a kip up, and he's about as round as a barrel. So that was fucking impressive.
Okay. Yeah, and really those are my two major points. You know, we had Damo, we had the whole Kurt Angle, Bobby Roode stuff. I'm with you. I really hope that Damo sticks around. I'd like to see what he could do on a longer term, story, a longer term feud. The only other thing that I think is worth talking about is the knockouts, like where we stand with the knockouts now that Maria, continues to, put the daggers into Gale. We also had Jade kind of emerge, on the mic. So what's your thoughts overall with, the knockouts and specifically with Jade?
This excites me. I've been waiting for Jade to get a title shot for ages now. And she technically got one a month or two back, but that wasn't anything to speak of. Like, that was just a throwaway. It didn't really happen. Now that Taryn Terrell's gone, Kong is gone, there is no obvious leader of the Dollhouse. Jade could step up and fill that spot and become Knockouts champion. And I'm absolutely looking forward to going back and watching this title match tonight. Those two are two of the best women's wrestlers on TV right now.
Yeah, no arguments. I've enjoyed how Jade has kind of started to, set herself apart from the pack, especially set herself apart from the Dollhouse. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this match plays out. But that's TNA. Let's go ahead. We'll move on. Lucha Underground. One thing that I made a note on this week's Fans Talk Lucha. If you haven't checked it out yet, fanstalklucha.com, where we recap and react to every single episode, every single week. But one thing that I noted, and I think I've made the mental note before that stuff like this was occurring, but it really became apparent this week, and that is the commentating team. They don't necessarily play into what we all see on TV. It's like they're in the arena and they don't see the video packages. So they have like no idea of what's going on outside of the temple. What I'm referring to specifically this week is we had the return of Sexy Star, and the entire match, they built up Sexy Star as this, this awesome women's wrestler, and, talked her up as if she, is on her way to becoming one of the biggest stars of the company. Never once referred to where she had been since season 1. Like, the whole Marty the Moth storyline never came into play. I know it's not forgotten because we did see Marty the Moth get involved in this match. So I'm curious if you guys are okay with the fact that, the commentators are just talking about the matches and the competitors as they are, rather than the stories that are involved sometimes.
I am entirely okay with that, because the commentary team, they see what the in-house audience sees. The only exceptions are on very rare occasions when somebody runs over and whispers in their ear or hands them a note so they can reveal something that we have not seen yet. Things that happen backstage, things that happen off-site, like Sexy Star's abduction, those are video packages for our benefit watching at home, but they don't know that. They are not seeing that. There's no big screen in the middle of the place. There's no Titantron to watch. They don't have monitors. They don't have earpieces for management backstage just speaking to their ears. They're not omniscient like a Raw commentary team is. And I dig that. It's different, and it's honest.
Yeah, it's just odd to me. We've been used to the TNA commentary style, which is very similar to the WWE commentary style, where it's almost like driven into your head what the story is that they're trying to tell. And Lucha Underground is completely different. It's, I get mocked because I miss some of the subtleties, but a lot of this is all subtleties where the commentating team isn't trying to drive home, what the story should be. It's basically left up to us to, to piece everything together, which is a completely different storytelling style.
I mean, I think it works though. It's nice that they separate it and they're focusing more on the wrestling and the story that's being told in the ring, not necessarily the overall storyline that we get with every other company. The story here is Brock Lesnar wants to is going after Bray Wyatt, and this is what happened backstage. Well, we're watching Kalisto versus whoever the heck. We're watching an entirely different match. Why don't you focus on this? It's nice that we don't have to get reminded of other storylines when we're watching a match. I love the fact that they talk about the match we're watching. They're excluded from all the other crap, all the other flash. They're just focused on what's right there. That, to me, that's refreshing.
And the thing with Lucha Underground is throughout the show, there are different ways that they will relay a story to you. We'll see video packages. We'll see a story being told in the ring with the match. We'll hear a story being told by Stryker and Vampiro. But those forms of storytelling are all distinct from one another, and they follow each other. They don't occur at the same time. On Raw, we'll see a video package leading into Raw. We'll get a monologue detailing the same thing. We'll hear something from Cole and JBL and Byron Saxon about the same thing multiple times throughout the show, often 5 minutes apart from the last one. The WWE style of storytelling is to beat you over the head with the main points until you tap out. Lucha Underground, they tell you something one time during the show, and every now and again they'll bring it back up, but it's not forced, it's organic.
Yeah, and Beanbags in the live chat is pointing out that out of the 45 or so episodes that we've seen so far, there's really only been one replay. So if you're not watching like everything happening, you're going to miss something, and they're not going to remind you that it happened. And I
post it on YouTube though, so you always have someplace to look.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you can go back for sure and rewatch, something that you might have missed, but it is an interesting style. It makes every single moment of Lucha Underground important so that you get the entire story, because yeah, you're right. They're not, repeating so much. They're not repeating the story so that, us dumb fans can understand what they're trying to tell. They're just expecting you to follow. And it is really cool. But for me, it is kind of odd. It's an odd way to go about it. Very interesting way to go about it.
It's a TV way to go about it rather than sports entertainment. I think that's basically what it boils down to. It's a TV show. Yeah,
for sure. There's a lot of other awesome stuff happening in Lucha Underground. Again, I recommend you take a listen. fanstalklucha.com. We recap and react to every single episode. It's a fun conversation. And yeah, so we'll talk more about it there. Let's dive into some NXT. NXT, we saw the debut of the tag team of Hugo Knox and Tucker Knight. The reason I'm making this like a bullet point worth talking about is because I got to see these two prior to them going on TV when I was in Florida about a month ago. Basically, they were working as a tag team, and it really intrigued me, just their chemistry together, the differences between the characters, and I was really surprised to see them on TV as quickly as they were. But I'm curious what your guys' opinion of these two guys.
Honestly, they didn't stand out all that much to me as a team. The biggest takeaway I got out of that match was Hugo Knox is cut and built like a fucking brick mansion.
Yeah, I think if I read correctly, I think he's like a former soccer player. But yeah, he's like as Beanbags is putting it, he's the human action figure. He is by far one of the leanest toned guys on the roster that we've seen. Tucker Knight is just an interesting character because he's we didn't really see a whole lot of it at this appearance, but at the house show that I was at, he plays almost like this playful giant type of role where It's almost like there's this strange sex appeal to him. And yeah, overall, I do see a future for these two guys. It's kind of crowded right now in the tag team division. There's so many good tag teams, but I do think there is a bright future for these two.
Yeah, I'm hopeful from what you're saying. I certainly didn't see anything wrong with that pairing. It's just, the guys they were facing. Clearly the focus was there.
Yeah. Moving on from that, another note that I made is just basically just acknowledging how good Emma is and unsure why she is where she is. She's not vying for the women's championship in NXT. It seems like she's constantly in this mid-card area. She's definitely helped build up Asuka. She's sort of helped build up Brooke, but overall, where do you guys see Emma and her place in NXT? Is she ever going to be put into that top spot?
I think she will be. I find Emma's basically biding her time. They're waiting to do more with her once they're done doing stuff with Nia Jax necessarily.
Well, I mean, you've got the Nia Jax versus Bayley. You've also got Eva Marie in there as well. You've got Asuka and Carmella even. I mean, they all seem to be above where Emma is. But Emma is so good. It's just strange to me that she and it's really ever since she was suspended by WWE for the whatever it is that she did, where she stole the iPhone case or whatever. Shoplifted, yeah. There's the term, yeah. So I don't know if this is just continued punishment that she has to re-earn her stripes kind of thing, but by far, just how the character has developed, how her in-ring work has developed, she definitely belongs near that top spot for sure.
Near the top spot,
yeah,
definitely.
I mean, she does, but
I don't know if she'll ever be ready for that, the championship. She's certainly talented enough. She's certainly competent enough inside the ring. But there's something about her characters. As much as I enjoy this character that she's got right now, there's still a hesitance about it. Like she needs Dana Brooke to complete the act. I don't know that I've ever seen her as a singles character where I can see her being champion and her being convincing.
Joe, any thoughts? Joe, you muted?
Nope, I'm not at all.
Okay.
You guys keep pausing for anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds. Mostly it's Garvin, but there was a spot there with Nick too, so I don't know if it's my connection or what.
No.
So
I don't know what's going on.
No, Skype is being a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
okay.
Apologies.
All right, so we also saw the debut of Austin Aries. Went directly, almost instantaneously, into a feud with Baron Corbin. Joe, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. Do you think Austin Aries versus Baron Corbin is a good starter feud? And where do you see Austin Aries' placement in NXT as we move forward?
I think they're going to hotshot Aries on up. I think a feud with Corbin will be a good one because Corbin is well established in NXT as a heel, and obviously his attack on Aries was pretty quick. Aries didn't even get to say a word before Corbin was up on him.
He didn't even get to the ring. Yeah,
he didn't. And all Regal did was just stare at it. Was, come on, Regal, you can fight. Come on, go after somebody.
Well, he did just have the neck surgery.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But I mean, you're automatically setting Aries up as a face, so you've defined that. And with Corbin being a well-established guy in NXT, when Aries hands him his ass, I think that the fans who didn't know who Austin Aries was or is will definitely definitely be fast-tracked on that, too.
I think this is a fine, at least serviceable feud for both guys. They've got similar characters right now. Aries touting himself as the greatest man that ever lived with, I don't know, a reasonable case for justification. And Corbin thinks he should be on the main roster chasing top gold already. I haven't liked Corbin's interactions with Regal until he took out Aries and said an eye for an eye. Before this point, it was just some petulant man-child going in and demanding to know why he can't have this shiny thing now. Well, you lost. You submitted to two guys at the same time. There is no case for you to be in anything remotely near top title contention. But just him taking this brand new toy that Regal got and immediately smashing it on the ground so that if he can't play with it, nobody can. I still think he's being a petulant man-child, but at least it kind of works for storyline purposes now.
Yeah, I think for sure I'm with you. Baron hasn't been completely impressive in any way, shape, or form, but this seems to finally give him a spot to develop that. And working against a guy like Austin Aries, especially in his debut, does allow for a lot of growth. So yeah, his interaction with William Regal, I think it's starting to flesh very well. I don't necessarily see this lasting a long time, but it's strange because we do look at Baron Corbin as a top title contender just because he's been in that title picture for the last at least 3 months, with the fans not necessarily backing what they're doing with I think the call dropped again.
No, I hear you, but you were very
you dropped for a good 5-7 seconds and then you came back scratchy.
Yeah, the call quality here is garbage.
Man, fucking Microsoft. I wonder if it's me though. Let me see if I got anything else going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing Nick loud and clear, other than the one time I had a gap. And you were doing this during D&D too.
Yeah, I don't know what's going
on. Beanbags, I think you are watching a different NXT because Baron Corbin, he's serviceable in the ring, but he's not good. The only place he looks impressive is against guys like Johnny Gargano who actually know what they're doing.
So, yeah.
So what about what else is going on in NXT? Like, what else is happening that's worth talking about?
Well, I don't know if this specifically needs to be addressed, but they did reference the Bullet Club again, like they actually called them by name. I don't think anything's coming from that. I think that's just a name that WWE knows is going to get the internet talking. We do know Machine Gun's coming to the WWE, almost certainly to NXT. Doc Gallows is coming with him. I don't know if there has been official word of that yet, but where Machine Gun's going, Doc Gallows is going at this point. So I don't know why they keep bringing it up, but other than just to be on everybody's lips.
Yeah, I've been excited. I'm glad Doc Gallows is coming back to the WWE. I liked his work previously. When he had the Luke moniker. His work in the Straight Edge Society was phenomenal. So for him to come back, I'm happy. It's not Festus, thank God. But no, I really enjoyed his work. I enjoyed his work in TNA. So I'm excited for him. As far as Anderson goes, I haven't really seen any of him. So I'm excited. I'm excited because he's coming with high ratings as well. So
yeah, and to me with this whole thing, it's mostly that they're just. I mean, the way that they are making those references, it's almost as if they're just toying with our imagination. They're just toying because they They know that we are expecting something to happen with Finn, but they aren't necessarily building it up, as a story. So like Finn isn't talking about, well, he's going to bring his friends and going to take over NXT or anything like that. It's just that they're just making references to the Bullet Club, and then that's it. It just doesn't seem like there's anything behind it. I know that they've both been signed. It's going to happen at some point, but it seems like these little name drops here and there isn't necessarily building up any type of story. It's just to build up fans' anticipation that it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, and it certainly is warranted. Those two have made an incredible tag team. Gallows, as good as he was in TNA, he sharpened up a lot in New Japan. So we are absolutely going to get a great addition to the tag team division in NXT. But, at this point, it just sounds like they're trying to get the internet hipsters, the smart marks attention, and say, no, we know good wrestling. We totally know about this stuff that's been going on in Japan. Like, Nakamura, Shinsuke. Yeah, we know who that guy is. We signed him too. It comes off as disingenuous.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to WWE Road Block. But before we do, let's go ahead and take just a quick break to tell you about what else is going on in the Fans Talk podcast family. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned. This week on Squared Circle of Trust, one thing that we started to talk about with Shane coming back is the idea of this brand split. I'm excited about this idea because of all of the new things that we could see. It is the novelty of it, of getting Shane McMahon back, getting the authority out of Ultimate Power.
The biggest positive outcome I could see from this is the novelty factor, or at least it's shaking up the status quo.
Realistically, they could devote enough time to all of the talent that they actually have by doing something like this.
Like, how would they balance that out? Who would be the main event on Raw? Who would be the main event on SmackDown? What title would be the top title for SmackDown?
Want to hear the rest of the conversation? You can do that by joining the Squared Circle of Trust today at squaredcircleoftrust.com. All right, so WWE Road Block happens this Saturday, March 12th, my mother's birthday. I hope you all wish her a happy birthday. The internet is reporting that this is going to be a 3-hour show. Sami Zayn, Chris Jericho, New Day, they are all basically scheduled to get involved in some capacity. I know Chris Jericho is going to have the highlight reel. No word yet on who his guest will be, so probably after SmackDown airs, we will get that. But this is the card right now. We've got the Revival versus Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy for the NXT Tag Team Championships. The New Day versus Sheamus and King Barrett for the tag team title. Is that right?
Yep. It's on the WWE website. The new one.
All right. I'm guessing you updated my notes. That's new to me. And then we've got Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt and Triple H versus Dean Ambrose for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So this is not the first network special that's important, but it definitely is one of the most important feelings just because we are so close to WrestleMania, and some of these matches do have like implications on what could occur at WrestleMania, specifically the main event. So out of the 4 matches we have right now, knowing that it's going to be a 3-hour event, what are you guys most looking forward to right now?
Triple H versus Dean Ambrose definitely has a spark. But for me personally, I'm looking at Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. I know this match was originally supposed to be Brock Lesnar versus Luke Harper, and Brock was going to win, and most likely Brock will win. But Bray adds that spark, and I can't wait to see him go head-to-head for a full match with Brock Lesnar. that's where all my excitement is, because Bray Wyatt is such an interesting character that if he does beat Brock Lesnar, it opens the door for so much more.
Yeah, personally, I'm right there with you, Joe. Lesnar versus Wyatt should be excellent. I'm a little more interested in seeing the NXT tag team match. Specifically because it looks like this is going to be the feud ender. And this may very well be where Enzo and Cass finally pick up those belts. Which it'll be sad for me just because, my home state boys will drop the titles, but it's going to be an incredibly emotional payoff. Just because those two have been gunning for those belts for so long. And just like Sami gunned for his for so long and Bayley went for hers for so long, it's going to be just like that.
What about you, Garv?
Yeah, I am looking forward to the potential that we might have new NXT tag team champions. I think this would be a good place for that kind of change to happen just because, it's a cross universe, I guess you could say, event. It's also so close to WrestleMania that a lot of eyes are going to be on it as well. So I think that would be a good place to do it, especially because there has been a lot of talk about Enzo and Cass making it to the main roster. So we know that they have worked a little in dark matches up on Raw, but I think this is going to be a few who have not tuned into NXT's programming yet. I think this is going to be their first glimpse. So and for them to win the titles with their intro, with their type of characters, I think it's definitely a great opportunity for them. But as far as like what match I'm most looking forward to, it has to be Triple H versus Dean Ambrose, just to see what takes place and how it affects the main event at WrestleMania. Like, are we going to see a triple threat match? If Dean Ambrose wins, is this when Dean and Roman Reigns finally have like that split up? So for me, this is by far the match of the night, or at least the match to watch. But let's go ahead and get into predictions. We'll start off with the NXT Tag Team Championship, and we've got the Revival defending against Enzo and Cass. So, who you got?
Nick, quick question for you. When is the next takeover? Has that been announced?
I think it's the Saturday before WrestleMania.
That sounds right. I know that date has been announced. It's just not in my head right now.
See, that seems a little off just because of the Hall of Fame happening that night. Which I'm pretty sure the Hall of Fame is on Saturday. It's all it has in the past.
Yeah.
And the only reason I ask that is because if they're going to do a takeover, would it make more sense to do a title change on an NXT show than the joint supercard? I mean, it still works either way.
I don't think they'll wait that long. Looking it up, Takeover Dallas is April 1st. So it's
after. Yeah. No. Wait.
Oh, no. Takeover is before WrestleMania, but there's a number of weeks between Takeover and Road Block. So I think there's enough separation there that dragging out the program, it is NXT where they tend to drag things out anyway, like they space things in between certain angles, but that's a little long, I think, given the way they've been building up to that moment. Like, every time they even look at each other sideways, they're coming to blows. They're attacking each other backstage, they're attacking each other on the ramp, they're attacking each other in the parking lot. I don't think you can keep doing that for another few weeks till TakeOver.
Right. Okay. All that being said, I'm going to go with Enzo Amore and Kyle Cassidy. It's their time. I love those guys as a tag team. They work on a number of different levels, and yeah, fantastic to watch. And I'm excited for them to finally get the straps, be it here or at the next takeover, but hopefully here because it's sooner.
Yeah, for me, I also see Enzo and Cass winning, I do like the Revival though. So, don't take this as a, excuse me, like an anti-revival remark, but I just think, in the grand scheme of things, Enzo and Cass have always been over, and they've always been looked at as a team that, has earned their title shots and have earned really to wear the gold. It seems like they always kind of get, shady finishes to their title shot matches, or, even in the tournament, they were taken out early, but it wasn't a clean win. So, yeah, I think for me, this is the time to do it, especially with all the eyes that are going to be on this event, to really see what they can do moving forward, heading into TakeOver. And it might just be a short reign. It might just be between now and TakeOver, and then after TakeOver and WrestleMania, you have, the call up that a lot of people have been expecting. But I think having them hold gold in between there, would definitely add to their overall credibility. So, yeah, that's going to be my pick. And just looking at live chat is pretty much there as well. Revival, I think a lot of people do want to see the Revival hold the titles for longer, maybe beat the reign that the Ascension had. And they are a strong team, but, by far out of all the teams, they definitely have that really solid look to them. So I think either way, they're still a good piece to the division, especially with Chad Gable and, Jason Jordan. Yeah, I think, having the Revival stay involved in that, even without the titles, I think, there's a lot of things to be excited about in the tag team division. All right. After that, we've got the New Day versus Sheamus and King Barrett for the tag team titles. Now, this match is one of those that have been rumored, or at least teased to also be on the WrestleMania card. So do you see this being, just a preliminary match and with a rematch at WrestleMania, or do you think this is going to, just be a one-time thing?
I can very easily see this stretching on to Mania, and I think this is where they're going to solidify the face turn for the New Day. They've been teasing that ever since their interaction with Edge and Christian, and the videos of New Day have been posting on Twitter about the League of Booty. That's a very face thing, at least in the WWE, I think. So, the way I see it, this will be the first time the New Day has encountered a team where the New Day does not have the edge in terms of numbers. So I think that is going to be their downfall. I think Rusev and or ADR are going to play into the win for their team. And, the League of Nations is tight with the Authority. They're going to parlay that into not having to defend their titles until WrestleMania, and I would imagine that's where the New Day gets their obligatory rematch and they take the titles back. So, the New Day loses the battle at Road Block in order to win the war for the Tag Team Championships and our hearts.
See, I'm looking at this going, I know there's been some back and forth between League of Nations and New Day, but I don't think the New Day loses here. I think this goes, if League of Nations is going to get the win here, it's going to be by DQ. Because I just don't see this happening. Not with, are we spinning New Day face at this point? Because sure it's something to do with League of Nations.
Oh yeah, the New Day has been turning face. It's just, I think this is where it'll be finalized, that face turn.
I think New Day's walking out with the titles. I don't think if they're gonna lose, it's gonna be WrestleMania.
Well, right now, as it stands, they are in 6th place with the longest single reign, with the tag team championship. So, right now, I think they sit at about 198 or 199 days. So by the time that Road Block, occurs, they will have held the title longer than the Usos, which then would put them in the top 5. After that, you've got Team Hell No with 245 days, Morrison and Miz, 250 days, Carlito and Primo, 280 days, Kendrick and London with 331 days. So, I guess, I agree with you, Nick, as far as to build that WrestleMania title match, you do need to make League of Nations look good. You need them to have some kind of definitive win, but at the same time, I would much rather see the New Day, hold on to those titles, maybe even break the record that Brian Kendrick and Paul London set. That does take them into, the pay-per-view before SummerSlam, holding the titles. But at the same time, I think that would be a good way to cement the New Day in history, because they have been so good. At the same time, you are sacrificing just the overall credibility of the tag team division. If they hold the titles that long, there really hasn't been much competition for them. You've got the Usos versus the Dudleys. That's pretty much assumed that that's going to take place at WrestleMania. League of Nations is really the only other contender that they've put together now that AJ and Jericho have split up. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what really makes sense. Do you cement their legacy? Do you, sacrifice the credibility of the tag team division to do that? Or do you allow a team like League of Nations to get a win, therefore building a WrestleMania 32 match and, keeping the tag team division looking strong?
Yeah, especially when you put it that way, that makes a very strong case for the League of Nations, in my opinion. Because the Usos are the only real face tag team right now. The Lucha Dragons seem to have split up as a unit, as a standing tag team, I guess you could say. And, there's really nobody else. All I'm thinking of are heel tag teams. And that's including the New Day. They're making that turn. They're teasing it. And I firmly believe it will happen. But, as it stands right now, there's really only heel tag teams except for the Usos. So I think in order to keep things a little more interesting, in order to make things a little easier on the WWE as far as booking goes, I think you gotta finish that face turn. And I think the best way to do that is to have the League of Nations employ that numbers game.
Nick, you're forgetting the golden truth.
They're not a team yet.
Give it time, man. Wait till after Road Block, man. Wait till after Road Block.
I firmly believe it will happen. All the forces in the universe are aligning to make that glorious unification happen. But Goldust has been hurt, man. R-Truth has been a real dick these last several weeks, and it's going to take time for them to repair that bond.
I don't know, man. I think we'll see them at WrestleMania.
I hope so.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I'm not saying it's going to be in a tag team championship match. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be at the armbar, but.
Yeah, I mean, and that was another topic I wanted to bring up a little bit later on was, what would you do with R-Truth and Goldust? And I like the idea of this match building up a repeat match at WrestleMania as far as New Day versus League of Nations. I think that is going to be the best matchup of any other matches that I can think of right now with the tag team division. But, with that partnership between Goldust and R-Truth, I would not be surprised, if they went in that direction and gave them the title shot at WrestleMania. But I really hope not. I really hope that's not the direction they go. But all right, yeah, I'm gonna go with you, Nick. I'm gonna go with League of Nations winning. Joe, you see them maybe ending it with a DQ finish with the New Day retaining the titles.
Yeah.
But the only issue I have with that is, how does that translate to a rematch? Just because they have the backing of the Authority?
That, and because they got screwed out of a clean win, they can argue that and maybe get another match.
All right. Well, I see League of Nations winning the titles, getting and having New Day turn face. I think that would be a good move as well. And also, turning in that rematch clause right away, I think would be good. All right, Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. Who you got?
Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. As much as I would love to see Bray win, I think it would be the best thing in the world that could come out of this match for Bray to get a clean win over Brock Lesnar. I don't see it happening. Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose is going to happen. And I think Brock needs to look strong going into that one. So Brock's going to win.
I think Wyatt wins, and I think it's for the same reasons that you're forecasting a disqualification win for Lesnar. I just think it's going to be Harper that lands at killing blow and he's not going to get caught. I think that's the only difference between what you and I are suggesting. I just think Wyatt's not going to get caught pulling something shady.
Did I make a suggestion of Lesnar getting DQ'd?
I would have sworn you said a DQ.
Did I say that? Because I don't remember saying that.
I don't think you said that.
I said that about
I
the
am
New Day.
confusing what you said with what Beanbag said in the live chat. That is entirely my bad.
What the fuck, Nick?
They are two separate people.
I've never seen them together in the same place.
You've got a point. Shit, I might be Beanbags. Fuck. What am I doing with my life?
Apparently creating fake accounts so that you can join us on Slack, even though you said you would never join us on Slack.
Oh, okay. Well, if a band's got to have a hobby.
Yeah, but I'm totally forecasting a Wyatt win. Either Strowman or Rowan distracts the ref. Harper comes in and murders Lesnar with a super kick, and Wyatt gets the win by Sister Abigail.
Okay, so with that scenario, and let's say Dean Ambrose wins and defeats Triple H and goes on to WrestleMania in the triple threat match for the title. Do you then pivot Brock Lesnar to take on the Wyatt family at WrestleMania?
I don't think so. Well, we already know Lesnar and Ambrose is booked for Mania. I think that loss, if it does get avenged, it gets avenged on Raw. And it just pisses Lesnar off more and makes him gun for Ambrose that much harder. Because now Lesnar would have something to prove.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go with Brock Lesnar winning. I do think there is going to be interference by the Wyatt family. Maybe it ends in a DQ. But overall, Brock Lesnar walks out with the win and looking strong heading into WrestleMania. But let's go back to Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose is in the main event with Triple H for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I know there is a lot of backing of the idea that Dean Ambrose defeats Triple H, walks out with the title, but I'm curious, Nick, because I know you are one of those voices. You want to see Dean Ambrose win and win the title. So if that's the case, how does that affect WrestleMania 32? We do know that Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar is scheduled. So does Dean Ambrose have 2 matches at WrestleMania?
I would love that scenario, if only because it would cement the legend of Iron Dean Ambrose. I would think it would just become a triple threat match between Ambrose, Reigns, and Lesnar. But I fully acknowledge that I may be voting more with my heart than my brain on this one. Because it makes a lot of sense for the WWE to have those be 2 separate matches. Triple H versus Reigns, Lesnar versus Ambrose. Because if Triple H versus Reigns is going to piss you off, you're still going to love Lesnar versus Ambrose. On the other hand, making or merging those 2 matches, leaving Triple H out of the equation, I could see that potentially mollifying a lot of those same fans that would hate Reigns beating Triple H for the title. Especially if Reigns didn't win that triple threat. So I don't know. I just know I would much rather see Ambrose walk away with the title here than have Triple H continue to be champion, because I'm not getting anything out of that.
Yeah, and there is a lot of interesting stories that they could pull from this, as far as Ambrose being involved in the main event at WrestleMania. So you have, Roman turn on Ambrose, or Ambrose turning on Roman, and I think that would help Roman get over in some capacity. Him going up against the Authority, it's just not as interesting as WWE wishes it would be, but having Roman versus Ambrose moving forward, that is interesting. I don't necessarily think that it will help Roman, overall, but I think it definitely does put him in a better position to get over with fans, either in the heel role or in the face role. But my issue with this idea of this becoming a triple threat match or a four corners match, if you keep Triple H involved, the only issue I have here is that right now we have the Divas Championship. That's going to be a 3-way. You add that's another championship match that is being defended to 2 to 3 people. And then also there's so many reports right now that the Intercontinental Championship match will be a multi-man match. So, maybe that's Neville, maybe that's Sami Zayn, Big Show versus Kevin Owens. So, is it smart? Is it smart for WWE to have pretty much their top 3 titles being defended in multi-man matches or multi-competitor matches?
I don't think it's necessarily a problem. A lot of people think, the one-on-one match would tell a better story, but looking at it, I think it adds a lot of excitement and will set up for a lot of singles matches down the road. A lot of times WrestleMania is used to end feuds. The big match will be at WrestleMania. After that, we'll go our separate ways. And I like the fact that if you have like a triple threat, it's not the end, because there's always that third person who wasn't involved in the finish who would have a gripe. I think WrestleMania should be used for starting feuds, so you get your eyes on guys. Granted, leading up to it, you've got to have some story build, right? You can't just, we're going to randomly put these guys together and start off a feud. You could do that. That'd be just kind of harsh, though. This isn't Monday Night Raw. This is Wrestle Freaking Mania. So I think triple threats to get feuds going for the foreseeable future, I think, is a phenomenal idea.
Yeah, it's a great vehicle for both ending a feud and starting a new one.
Yeah. And the other possibility, and we talked a bit about this last week, is having, just changing the matches slightly. So you have Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar, have that for the title instead of Triple H and Roman Reigns. You can still do Triple H versus Roman Reigns because, it's not just the title on the line, it's also Roman Reigns' pride and him, trying to take down the Authority. So, there's also that potential. Do you think that they might swap the title match in that way?
No, because they've been pretty adamant in expressing that Roman Reigns has a title shot. Ambrose said last week, he's got a match for the WWE Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Nothing says that Triple H has to be that guy defending the title. So, in my mind, that is a very viable booking option, but it's pretty set in stone as far as the WWE is concerned. Roman Reigns is getting a title match. It just remains to be seen who it's against.
Yeah. And historically, we have seen wrestlers compete in multiple WrestleMania matches. Daniel Bryan basically went through Triple H just to get into the main event later on in the show. So, there is historical context that says that could happen with Dean Ambrose fighting against Brock Lesnar and then going into the main event. The only thing that, the only way it makes sense for me is if Triple H does lose. Like, I can't see him opting out of the title match. But at the same time, I could see reasoning between that. You know, sure, he's not in the main event at WrestleMania, and that's, you know, bad for him. But at the same time, we would see Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns for the title. And, you know, for him to be able to split up a team, that might be more important to him and the authority and what they want to do to Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose than, you know, Triple H having a shot at continuing to hold the title.
That's definitely very possible. I could also see Triple H wanting to get the rematch over with. Have that rematch on the Raw after, or even play the long game. Is, you know what? It doesn't matter that I don't have the title right now. I can have the title back whenever I want. And whichever one of you dumb motherfuckers wins at WrestleMania, I get it Extreme Rules, and I will murder you.
You both make valid points.
Yeah. And this is why it feels to me that Road Block is such an important event. It's such an important, you know, network special. And, you know, the other network specials haven't felt this way because there hasn't been something like this that, you know, had implications on much larger events, especially WrestleMania. So, yeah, and to me, that's why I'm most looking forward to this match, just to see how it affects everything else. So, but as far as picks goes, yeah, I think for the most part, you know, while I do like the story, I do like the storyline implications of Dean Ambrose winning, and my heart wants me to vote that way, you know, as a fantasy booker. At the same time, I just can't see, based on historical context, like why Triple H would, you know, basically write himself out of the main event at WrestleMania. So I'm going to have to go with Triple H retaining the title.
Yeah, Triple H is definitely retaining the title. Where how do you not have the head of the company, who is still an active wrestler, well, semi-active, but at the moment active, not in WrestleMania, not in the ring at WrestleMania. It's going to happen. It's Triple H. He's one of the most decorated wrestlers of all time in the WWE.
Hey, somebody could wake up in Connecticut and say, wait a minute, we gotta start pushing new top talent. Oh my God, we're in trouble. That's not
going to happen, Nick.
Yeah. It's a good thought.
A boy can dream.
I know. And you did when you picked Bray Wyatt to win. Because I think that's going to be a very similar thing. You're going to see Brock Lesnar win that one. So, yeah.
I will accept your apologies when I bat a perfect game on Saturday. That was for Sean.
I'm still.
I'm sorry. I love you, and I will super kick your head off.
Yeah, I really haven't heard from Sean a whole lot since that episode.
He has been pretty quiet, hasn't he?
Yeah. All right. Well, that is the card as we know it. Again, we've got Enzo. Oh, as far as our picks go, we're saying that Enzo and Kaz are the new NXT Tag Team Champions. The League of Nations are going to defeat New Day to become the new WWE Tag Team Champions. Brock Lesnar going over Bray Wyatt. Triple H retaining the WWE World Heavyweight Championship by defeating Dean Ambrose. 4 matches have been booked. It has been reported to be a 3-hour event. What other matchups do you guys want to see?
We are undoubtedly getting a Y2J and AJ match.
No, Jericho's doing
highlight reel.
So I think AJ is going to be on the highlight reel,
which would build up to their WrestleMania match.
Exactly.
That is so disgusting.
Although it still leaves Miz out in the dust. One match I would expect to see would be Golden Truth versus the Social Outcasts, just because you need somebody for them to get over on.
Yeah.
And there's another face tag team. of multiple versions.
True. But what about you, Nick? Any matches that you want to see happen?
I don't think you can have Golden Truth versus the Social Outcast because Ryback is going to be wrestling one of them. I'm sure of it.
Well, wait, one of the Social Outcasts? That's fine.
Yeah.
There are 3 other ones who could be involved in a tag team match.
The Golden Truth is not a thing yet. It's not going to be a thing by Saturday. Goldust is hurting.
Well, you don't think they would try? Like, let's see if this would work, kind of thing.
Truth I would that he can be a true partner before Goldust will get in the ring with him. He has to learn the little details like Goldust's lactose intolerance.
Hey, man, they got Mark Henry a free pizza.
Yeah.
Well, that's great for Mark Henry.
Yeah, well.
Speaking of Mark Henry, I kind of wonder if they will do something with Henry and Swagger. Because, I was poking around on Squared Circle, and, the post-Raw segment that they had, Swagger ran out to help Ambrose against the Wyatts. Mark Henry came out a little while later. There was a bunch of other dudes, but, they occasionally bring those two back together as a tag team. I kind of wonder if this is going to be 3 hours, if maybe they won't make a showing.
So maybe Swagger and Henry versus 2 Wyatts.
Possible. I'm of the opinion that they'll keep all the Wyatts in reserve for the match with Lesnar. Maybe against the Cosmic Wasteland.
That is an interesting idea as well.
We could also see a U.S. title defense.
So who would go up against Kalisto?
I would say Tyler Breeze.
Even though Tyler has not earned a title shot? Especially after his loss this week on Raw?
Yeah, I just can't think of any other viable contenders that have a more pressing case to make. Especially since Ryback hasn't really started gunning for Kalisto just yet.
What about Swagger? We could bring in Swagger. When that little Mexican has his title. I know, it's not. I mean, that we're jumping back to a previous gimmick.
Yeah, I think they want to keep Swagger face, and that would just immediately make Swagger heel no matter what he said or did.
What about Ryback?
I think they're going to go for that eventually. I just think they want to actually make it obvious that Ryback is gunning for it. Like right now, Ryback is just kind of trying to set an example for the little guy.
Well, they did make a reference on commentary that Ryback could be going for the U.S. Championship.
Sure. And it is possible that they'll actually set it up on SmackDown. It's just, I'm kind of the opinion that they're going to wait a little bit on that. But, it could happen.
Okay. I also imagine Dolph Ziggler is going to have a match. It's odd. Like, we have watched, like, the rise and fall of Dolph Ziggler, but he always seems to be involved in something. Like, he's always a focal point of some kind of feud. Even though he's not necessarily winning, even though he's not necessarily getting the accolades that I think we would prefer to see him get, there's always, he's always involved in something. So, like, this week on Raw, specifically, him having that little backstage argument with Steph and her, booking him against the League of Nations, I would definitely see, the Authority putting Dolph Ziggler in some kind of precarious situation. I'm just not sure who necessarily he would go up against. You did mention, the partnership between the Ascension and Stardust. Maybe he goes up against those three, just to continue that overall theme. But I definitely think that Dolph Ziggler gets involved in a match in some way.
If Ziggler gets a match, which I have no doubt that he will, I kind of think it'll be against ADR. Kind of because he's inserted himself into the Authority League of Nations angle, and, he's already faced the other 3 guys on Raw. Why not have a match with ADR to just kind of round things out? And, Rusev can provide the distraction or provide the shenanigans to get ADR the win. and they'll still be fresh and in reserve for the tag team match against the New Day.
All right. Any other NXT matches that you think could take place at this event?
I can't think of any. Maybe a women's number one contenders match? That's the only thing that really comes to mind, since they've already got the tag team title match.
Number one contender spot for, maybe TakeOver, you mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see that, maybe just another filler tag team match. You have the American Alphas versus Gotch and Aiden.
Yeah, that's also
my
possible.
Okay.
Yeah, it is very possible that they could just have this part of the show be an NXT Tag Team Showcase.
I mean, that'd be interesting. They've definitely got more experience on the network exclusive show.
Yeah. Another match that the live chat is pushing out there is maybe another tag team match, but Asuka and Carmella versus Emma and Dana Brooke.
That is an odd pairing. I don't know. I think if you involve the women, it's going to be a battle royale. A battle royal. I don't know why I pronounced it that way.
With cheese.
Yeah. All right, well, that is our preview for WWE Road Block. It happens this Saturday, March 12th. So definitely, if you are a member of the Squared Circle of Trust over on Patreon, we will be doing a live chat for that event. So definitely join us over there on the Slack community. Let's move on to Raw. Anything else happen on Raw that you guys want to talk about?
We touched on the Y2AJ split, which didn't expect that was going to go even that long, but it did. A fantastic match though, against New Day.
Yeah,
that really was a great match. Check it out; it's a lot of fun. But
of course, Jericho drags down the team at every turn, and he takes it out on his partner. At least he's consistent.
Yeah.
I'm so ready for this to be done. I wish they would just end this at Road Block. I don't care how decent Jericho can be in the ring. He brings nothing to the table here. AJ could have much better matches with a lot of other people. Just dude, take old Yeller out back and send him off to Fozzy.
Didn't the Kevin Owens, the KO Mania storyline get a little more spicy?
Yeah, it did. We saw the return of Sami Zayn, went right after Kevin Owens. It definitely makes... It opens up the door to a few interesting matches. So, there's the potential there for a WrestleMania match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Some people are, on the internet, they're very critical on WWE trying to force that into the main storyline, even though we really haven't seen a whole lot of it yet on the main card. But what's your guys' thoughts on that? Do you think that is the direction that they're going to go, or do you think that it will be which is what's being reported? A multi-competitor match with Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, Neville, Big Show can be thrown in there too, just because of their the story that they've been telling over the last couple of weeks.
I think that would be something suited for Road Block as opposed to WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania is probably going to be Sami Zayn and Owens.
I would think that the multi-man match that folks are talking about would take place at Road Block. If only to pad things out a little further, given that multi-man matches tend to go a little longer than singles matches. and maybe save that singles IC match for Mania. Just to kind of balance things out, since we are forecasting so many other multi-man matches for Mania. It's a possibility. I don't understand why people are being critical of Zayn versus Owens coming to the main card.
Well, I think it's more about not necessarily the matchup, but just the matchup this close to WrestleMania. We are about 3 weeks out of WrestleMania, so, trying to jam that into the WrestleMania card, I think people are just critical on the storytelling side of it. While a majority of us on the internet are very aware of what they did prior to coming into NXT and then what they did in NXT, that hasn't necessarily been translated to the main card yet. So putting that into WrestleMania at this point doesn't make it feel as important if they had built up to this for the last 3 or 4 months.
That might be one of the dumbest complaints I've heard from internet fans, because those same people that are making the complaint are the same people that are aware of the fact that Zayn and Owens have been going at it for years now. They don't need 3 or 4 months to build up to a Mania match. They don't need 3 or 4 months to build up to a Road Block match. What they did on Raw, if they just built that up for a Road Block match, those two would have no problem building that up and making you care about it just as much as you would for the main event of WrestleMania. They have chemistry that is that explosive and that volatile, and that's fire and money rolled into one. And it's magnificent.
And you're right. I mean, you are totally right. I think it's just a matter of, if they're building it towards a Road Block match, that's perfectly fine. But to have that be on WrestleMania, I think it needs to feel as important as it does to us to the rest of the WWE audience. And I think, not building it up for months, not showing, those historical, just the historical significance of it, it's not telling as good of a story to get the rest of the audience involved. And I think that's really the only major complaint. And I do kind of agree with it that it would feel better if everyone was aware of their past.
Honestly,
but that's just not being told right now.
If you're not aware of the history, even just the NXT history, then you've had your head in the sand. Because they introduced that at every twist and turn. They remark on just the history within the WWE alone all the time when Owens is there. They will reference Sami Zayn every now and again because he's been on Raw in that match against Cena, so he's safe to bring up. And, like I said, if they could bring Zayn and Owens together for the first time on the SmackDown before Mania, and those two would make even the most ignorant person care about that match. The fact that they've got almost a month to build up to that, I still don't understand the complaint. I still don't understand how you could sit there and think that's not enough time.
The other feud that was not necessarily started on Raw, but it definitely continued, that was Lana versus Brie Bella. Do you guys see that this leading to a WrestleMania match?
Unfortunately, this hurts. This hurts so much. Like, there's no point whatsoever for this. Why does Brie keep getting matches? Why does Lana need to come down and run? I mean, granted, Lana hit a fantastic X Factor. My only concern is if she's going to blow out her ass like X-Pac did, but, I'm sure Rusev's probably blowed her ass out.
That's Joe at fanstalkprowrestling.com.
Joe at fanstalkpodcast.com. That is me. So that's pretty much my thought. I don't care about this match.
No.
I don't want to see Lana wrestle. I don't feel... I mean, I know she's been training, or I've heard that. I heard she can wrestle. I'm not into it. I like her as a mouthpiece and a show manager. But... And what's the reason? What is really the reason she's going after Brie? It makes no sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. I mean, they have not told that story well at all. But just the idea, I mean, I like the idea of Lana wrestling. I think that's something that we've been interested in seeing. There's been a lot of rumors out there on why she hadn't been wrestling, previously. A lot of ideas that, maybe it was written in her contract that she couldn't wrestle because of some health issues. But to see her finally get involved obviously disproves that stuff. But still, to have her potential debut match at WrestleMania, she has to be completely, epically awesome. Otherwise, it's not a good debut match for her. So... All right, well, that was the week that was in WWE, NXT, TNA, and Lucha Underground. Let's go ahead and jump into Win, Fail.
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here is your win.
You do any job,
and fail
is to fucking get paid!
Of the week. Joe, what was your win of the week?
My win of the week was the New Day Y2AJ match. It set up a storyline for AJ Styles and Chris Jericho to go into WrestleMania, and it was a fantastic match. New Day worked on so many levels, and there were a lot of great moments and high spots in that match.
Nick, your win?
Impact had a lot of great content this week. Big Damo just got a huge fan in the States. And, TNA's been on point. As I was going to say this in my final thoughts, but, I'll say it here. If you're not watching Impact right now, watch it. Give it a chance. It is being consistently touted as the most underrated wrestling product on TV right now. Like, PW Insider ran an article about that.
I could be wrong, but I think Dave Meltzer said that TNA right now has the best wrestling happening.
I would not be the least bit surprised because they have been putting on an excellent product. And the damnedest thing about it is the top storyline hasn't changed characters at all. And it is miles away better than what it was last year. They just flip things on its head. And it works so perfectly because Matt Hardy is getting allies in every single person that EC3 spurned, turned on, and ground into the dust. And it works.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with TNA. I feel like we've said this multiple times over the years that, right now, watch TNA, they're doing good stuff. But, legit, they are doing some really good stuff right now, so... definitely check it out if you can. Wins from the live chat. We've got the ladder match at Lucha Underground between King Cuerno and Phoenix. That's also my win of the week. We also have AJ Styles, his springboard reverse DDT on Kofi was perfect. Agreed. That was a very, very nice spot. And then also win to Lana performing the Facebuster X Factor type move on Brie Bella this week. So
her own finisher. I dig it.
Yeah. Those are your wins. What are your fails of the week?
Brie Bella and Lana. We already discussed this. It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm glad that AJ is finally getting an opportunity to put the final nail in Jericho's coffin. I'm just worried that wrinkled old vampire is going to be left out far too long before that happens.
Yeah, my fail of the week, I really do not have a fail. I think everyone right now is hitting on all cylinders. There's a lot of great things going on, whether it's WWE, NXT, Lucha Underground, TNA. There's so many good things right now to focus on. The fail side of things. You're missing some really good stuff. So, some fails from the live chat. We just got some fails for Vince McMahon, and his work on the mic. Also there was some hate overall on the internet for, things that Shane was doing on the mic as well. So that's it. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I'm really bummed that Vince had to ruin that picture of him and Shane. That was a really nice photo. I can't believe he ruined that.
It was a nice photo. Okay. All right. We do definitely want to thank everyone who has supported us through Patreon, since we started over there. Definitely some special shout outs right now to Diva Jill, Ishmael Carmichael, and Beanbags for joining us in the live chat today. You can find more about us and what we do at fanstalkprowrestling.com. This series, as well as the rest of the podcast released through the Fans Talk podcast family, are supported exclusively by those Patreon subscribers. And you can subscribe today for as little as $1 a month by heading over to squaredcircleoftrust.com. My name is Garvin. For Nick and Joe, everyone in the live chat, we will see you next Tuesday. Later.